Everybody here seems to be very cooperative, and I think we work well together.
So we pack up the fruit and the protein and the cereals and the beans and tuna fish. I think it's a really well-run organization that's helping a lot of people, and it's just really nice to have a regular place to come.
Congratulations to Arm in Arm for continuing to do the important work that you're doing during this pandemic. We need you.
Arm in Arm is a key foundational element to this congregation's commitment to mission and outreach.
So what you tried to do and what you did was just keep 130 families from losing their homes, right? That represents how many children who have roofs over their heads, right, and food in their bellies.
So there is a sense of deep-rooted pride and connection and connectedness with Arm in Arm. We were one of the founders of that. Look at it go now.
I had no food in my house, no food or nothing. In the middle of my bills was high, and I didn't have no money to get no food. And I heard about you guys, and I came here. And my kids and me got fed. And I appreciate y'all so much for everything they do for me.
Because there's a lot of people are hurting now because they don't have an opportunity to have their jobs, you know, and it's the first time for some people to come out and get food like this.
It's working out really well because everyone's staying safe.
As I always say, not me today, but it could always be me tomorrow.
When COVID hit, you guys didn't miss a beat, and there was a need and a new way of doing it.
I think that there was a recognition that this was an unprecedented crisis, and the board recognized that resources were necessary in order to do the work and do the work well, especially at this time for people that were, that are much more vulnerable.
When something like the pandemic happens, you begin to see a vulnerability of some folks that you go, wow, we're a lot more vulnerable than we thought.
The focus for everybody, the board and the staff, really pivoted to dealing with food insecurity and how we would be able to not just provide more food, but provide it safely. And, we had been wrestling with the idea of mobile distribution of food for quite a long time. And suddenly we were faced with this in a way where we had to really figure it out in a hurry.
Over the years, Arm in Arm had moved from a bagged delivery model to a grocery store model, which was really humane. One of the first things that I did, I went down to the pantry and people were in our market and they were choosing what they wanted to have. When the pandemic hit, of course, that was one of the most dangerous things you could do. So we quickly looked at the essential nature of our work. We knew that people needed food to continue, no matter what. We made the bold decision to be able to go to a 100% mobile delivery model. By doing it this way, we would have the best model for keeping everybody safe.
You and I were on a Zoom call early on with municipal leaders in Princeton and nonprofit leaders who were both in shock and paralyzed about what to do. And I watched as you took a lead in that conversation and were describing what Arm in Arm could do. And you were describing the move to 100% contactless delivery to those in need. It was a momentous adaptation to a crisis. And to be able to continue then and have the sustainability over this last year, almost a year to do that, is a testament to your leadership, your staff's persistence and strength, and of course, the response of the community, not just Nassau Church, but the response of so many of those who support. And I think it will forever change Arm in Arm's imprint in the Princeton community and in Mercer County.
It's really been inspirational to see how, again, flexible the staff is, how hardworking the staff is in trying to make that a reality, all for the benefit of the people that the organization serves.
We had staff now that were lining up deliveries. We had staff that were delivering in their cars, and we had staff that were scanning our databases to make sure and calling all people that in need and saying, how can we get food to you?
What's been really interesting going remotely is that we are able to allow staff to kind of work when they need to work. You know, we have a couple of single mothers on our staff. So, you know, during school hours, you know, they're working with their kids. So then they'll do evening hours, which then helps our clients because they're doing the exact same thing.
I was so thankful to have on our board experts in medicine and healthcare. We have 2 physicians on our board that were deeply knowledgeable about best practice.
And especially right now, we are increasing the number of families that we're serving for food every single month. And that will continue for a while.
So we've gone from, as I mentioned, February, 1,995 family deliveries through nearly 100% pantry model, to May, with 2,635 family deliveries through 100% mobile delivery, to now with a 3-pronged blended delivery. Last month in December, we did over 3,300 family deliveries.
Again, I think the thing that's sort of wonderful here is just how wonderful the families are that come here. The moms with their kids, some dads.
Everyone is great, everyone is helpful, everyone loves the job, and it's really rewarding to be a part of that.
Right now, we are doing deliveries to more than 250 households twice a month. We have done and we are doing a lot, and that's because we have the support of the community.
So I work with clients who are facing eviction or in some cases are already homeless. Initially, most of the clients who were coming to us were clients who had lost their job right away, March, April, restaurant workers, school workers, bus drivers, all the sorts of people who were immediately laid off because their businesses shut down. And then for many of those people, there was a significant gap in time until their unemployment started, if it did.
Housing stability. The good news is there was an evictions moratorium in place.
At some point, the evictions moratorium that's in place is going to be lifted. And once that evictions moratorium is lifted, there are going to be a lot of people that need to get support to stay in their housing.
Well, right now, I think the number out there is that there are $70 million worth of rental arrearages for Mercer County. Mercer County, right, $70 million.
And I know that as an organization, you know, we've partnered with Housing Initiatives of Princeton, also with the support and assistance of Princeton Area Community Foundation, to try to get ahead of the curve on that.
What we realized in this pandemic was that we were kicking the can down the road. Having a moratorium meant that people were still having back rent stack up. And to be able to help them before they would receive an evictions notice, before the evictions moratorium would be lifted, that was our chief concern.
The court system is going to be overwhelmed with eviction notices. People owe, you know, a lot of money, and I think that there's going to be potentially 30 to 40,000 evictions could flood the state.
One of the first things we did is we reached out to the court to talk to them about the evictions. So there are 1,400 people, which is a lot more than I thought, currently in eviction court.
You know, people have lost their jobs. It's been problematic them getting access to their unemployment if they're eligible for unemployment. So people are really struggling to make ends meet. And now we're seeing people who owe multiple months of rent.
So we were able to create a really best practice scenario that allowed us to match funding and to do more for people in need. And we were able to help people in extremely large quantities. For instance, before the pandemic, average help for a family was about $488. During the pandemic, we were helping people at about $1,500 per family.
You know, the moratorium may be in place now, but many families are in arrears with rent for many months. So to be able to have a process in place to bring landlords and renters together to negotiate it, and that process is very valuable to continue. And for you to do that, you need the funding to support that. So my hope is that donors will also step up and continue to support it.
We need volunteers, and we've gotten volunteers. We could not have done this without volunteers. Arm in Arm is critically dependent upon volunteers.
They come in and they help uplift us, they help uplift the people of the community, and we're really so appreciative to have really dedicated volunteers. They greet everyone with a smile, and they're just ready to get to work.
The volunteers are a huge asset, to every program that Arm in Arm does, I believe. Whether they're giving their time and effort, kind of putting our, ideas together to do something that they have in mind. The culture of Arm in Arm is the way it is because of the great volunteers that we have.
2020 was an incredibly challenging year. I really appreciate everybody who stuck with us and worked with us, understanding the gravity of the moment. I mean, it's been really incredible to see how many people, especially with all the uncertainty, how many, stakeholding organizations, partner organizations, friends, family, step forward with, resources. And I want to make sure that they understand and that they know that we take that commitment on their part seriously, and we are working as an organization to make sure that those resources are effectively put to use in the community.
Number one, please continue to support this important work. And second, our gratitude. We have seen through the Princeton Area Community Foundation, donors rise to the occasion as well. We've seen a big increase in gifts coming into the Community Foundation. In fact, this in 2020, we saw a 62% increase in gifts coming in and processing those gifts to make sure they go out to organizations like yours. So please continue the generosity, and thank you.
And so I hope that it has resulted in a sense of awareness, engagement, and generosity, perhaps at a level that wasn't before, and I hope that will continue after.
You need to be able to give resources to families. Families need the resources. So whatever resources that we can gather for those organizations, they use them the way that families need them to.
I think we found through the pandemic a level of generosity that I hope continues, both in dollar amounts and numbers of people who step up, because that should never wane again. Because we found out actually that there are more dollars for support, and there are more folks who want to help, and we shouldn't ever go back.
But I think that what this pandemic has highlighted is the issue of racial inequality, racial and economic inequality that exists, that Arm in Arm and PACF has always known it's there, and we've worked together to deal with different pieces. But in this pandemic, it's just been really highlighted, and we have to begin to examine what does it mean to add a lens of dealing with racial inequality to our work. What else do we need to do?
So I think an extension of your work and ministry is to not only provide those needs, but work to transform a society to a more just and free and equal society of possibilities for everyone.
There's always going to be challenges, but if you get together with people of good intention, you can find solutions. I mean, to me, the first lesson was the amazing goodness of humanity in the face of crisis. And I think that starts with our clients, with the people that we serve, our families that we serve.
Thank you very much for your service.
I love Arm & Arm. They give out a whole lot of good stuff.